In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to draw a skyscape with hot air balloons that has basic perspective in it. Now, you can choose to hold your paper long and tall like I did here, or short and wide horizontally like I did here. Now, just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to be drawing this with smaller paper so it fits well on my screen. You're going to be using 12 by 18 inch paper. I'm also going to be using a Sharpie so that it shows up better on your screen. You're going to be doing this very lightly in pencil. So the first thing that we want to do when we start our skyscape is we want to show the viewer how high the hot air balloons are and where their point of view is going to be. So to do that, I drew some tops of trees here, I drew some mountains here. You can even do things like tops of clouds, so that's really your choice. So I'm going to begin by drawing some mountains and hills. Now I have them overlapping, which was one of our vocabulary words. And you could also, if you wanted to, add some tree tops and things like that. But that's going to show the height of the balloons. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to start to think about the balloons that are going to appear closest to us. We call those balloons ones that are in the foreground. So, I'm going to begin by drawing a nice, big hot air balloon here. So this is a hot air balloon that is going to appear to be closer to the viewer, and that is in the foreground. Now, you can choose to have them all on the page like this, or you can even have some of them sort of half traveling off the edge of the page. We said that that's called having an open composition, when some things are off the edge of the page and it causes the viewer's eye to imagine what the rest of that item looks like, and it kind of makes the composition or the piece of art feel bigger and greater than it really is. So now that I have a few pieces in my foreground, I want to think about my pieces, my balloons that are going to be all the way in the background, really, really far away. So I'm going to be drawing those very teeny tiny, and those are going to be my background balloons. So all the way in the distance, very, very small. Now, I'm going to make some of them small and some of them sort of small-ish, if you will. So maybe I'll make one that is still small, but it's bigger than this one. Now I want to think about my balloons that are in between the foreground and the background. We call that the middle ground. So I'm going to draw some medium-sized balloons. So maybe ones that will be about half the size of my foreground balloons. Now you can always measure proportions, relative proportions, by just doing a quick estimate with your fingers. A lot of artists do this when they're drawing figures, so that means like people, or architectural drawings, anything that requires you to have good proportions. Now, another great thing that creates a sense of depth in your artwork is to have some items overlapping. So because my foreground balloon here is closer and it appears bigger than my middle ground balloon, I'm going to have it slightly overlapping this balloon. So it's covering part of that balloon. I'm going to make a few more middle ground balloons. And maybe I even want to make a few going off the page before I decide to have my composition laid out. So we call this the basic layout. It's where we're placing objects. Now we can start to get into detail work. So what you're going to do now is just go in and start to add some really cool patterns to your hot air balloons. And you want those patterns to be proportionate to the size of your hot air balloon. So obviously this balloon has these long kind of vertical stripes, and this balloon does as well. But these stripes are much smaller and closer together than these because this is so much closer. There's a variety of really beautiful types of hot air balloons that you can kind of research online, so feel free to look at reference photos while you're working on this part, or just have fun and make up your own designs. So a lot of times when you're working too, another way to create depth is to curve your lines, since a balloon is kind of a ball shape or a sphere shape in some ways. So the lines curve out, and that also makes it appear to be three-dimensional. So once you are done doing all of your patterns on your balloons, like I did here, you're going to move on to adding color.